Yo, what's up guys, Seiishizo over here. The game just went live and let's look at the new units. I already looked at the SR and the SR looks like a very good replacement for Lily. But let's first look at the SSR. Is Lilium a must pull based on her base stats and all of the skills or not? Or is she something that you would skip out on? Well, first of all, we do already know that she has a 125 base speed, which is definitely on the higher end of base speeds. I think all over the base stats are pretty solid. I will be talking about what I do think for how many Latize investments do you need if you're planning to pull her, and therefore you can also decide like, hey, how many Latize do I actually have left over at the moment, or how many I'm planning to spend, because if you pull her and you don't put Latize in there, she's probably not as great. So I would definitely say the first skill is just a little bit of a damage improvement, but the thing is her passive is in the flash over here, which does give the immunity towards turn meter decrease. I think that that part is that incredibly strong. Like, sure, she already has the immunity towards crowd control, but getting the turn meter decrease is also super, super strong. There's a lot of units out there that do that. And I think that this is a must. So therefore, I would say minimum 4 Latizes if you want to pull her. Also, in this case, she does have attack on the skill 1. So she doesn't get speed from there. In most cases, we are aiming for that extra speed. But her speed is actually in the skill 3. So let's see how many more Latizes would we need if we were to pull her. But yeah, this skill 1 seems very, very strong. Like, it's just like the turn meter decrease not there. No stunts. That's really strong in current meta. Then we have the skill 2, which is the Resounding Thunder. Time to get serious. Deals damage, okay. For every 1% HP of the target's lost, damage increases, okay. Guaranteed inflicted stun on a 70% less or like HP or less target. And 1 turn stun on all enemies if the target is defeated. So if you add more skill ups to this, it is more likely to happen where you can kill something with this. And therefore you have more chance of the AoE stun. But I would say, in all honesty, this one does not look like as much of a must to be used. I think it's recommended if you're like heavily investing in her and you're planning to use this a lot. Would say that you would go for another Latize, so you're already looking at 8. But I would say this one is more skippable. Also, 3-turn cooldown, which is pretty nice. But yeah, the damage improvement helps you a lot to get this around more. What do we have in the pros over here? We do have extra crit rate, which always helps very well for her. Then we have the third skill, also 3-turn cooldown, but actually starts off at a 4-turn cooldown. It goes to 3 turns the moment you have the skill up over here. No one can escape. Lilium gets attack buff, speed buff, deals 500% damage. Increased by 50% if the target is less than 60% HP. This hit ignores shields and seals the target's HP equal to 50% of the damage dealt. So I think it's really good against those Tiamat's HP type scaling damage dealers, things that provide a lot of shields and those kind of things. So definitely a pretty strong skill as well. We also have this one, the final boost goes up and we have the cooldown going up. Plus we have the speed over here. So I would say that this one is recommended to skill up as well. So in my recommendation for the skill up order, I would go for skill 1 first, then skill 3, then skill 2. I would say, is it highly recommended on skill 1? Yeah, so that uses 4. I would also say it's semi to high recommended on the skill 3. So that's 8. And this one is more of a skip, but if you're planning to use her a lot, it's probably good in there as well. Is she a must pull, might you ask? I think she is a must pull if you're playing bruisers and you're fighting a lot against CC comps and CC comps are clapping your ass. Like, that's the main thing. Like, if you're getting clapped by CC comps, then yeah, she does kind of feel like a must pull. If you're playing more of a CC yourself, then I don't think you need this as much. Like, sure, she has a stun in there and that kind of stuff, but I think if you're a CC player yourself, she's not that much of a must. If you're a cleave kind of player, if that's still viable after the Revelation nerf, we have to figure that part out ourselves first. I don't know. But yeah, she's mainly in the bruiser to counter CC comp kind of style of play, and then she becomes incredibly good, I think. So very, very strong unit over there. But besides that, we also have the, I thought their name was going to be Nell, but it's Nilu, okay? Nilu is sitting at 116 base, very high HP, not that much attack, okay, makes a lot of sense. I think she is going to be becoming the best Lily replacement of like a one-to-one Lily replacement. There's already like a few units that can, like for example, this Kazami can kind of do it as well with the speed buff cooldown reduction. But I think that she is going to be doing that a little bit better. So what do we have on the skill 1? Skill 1 is just a simple vulnerability. It goes up to a 40% 2 turns vulnerability. So that's the skill that you also see on the Thing skill 1. And I think a Messiah skill 1 also has that. So that just adds in a little bit more damage on the enemy. Then on the second skill, we have attacks 4 times, dealing 70% damage and healing the ally with the highest attack. So you will be paired up with your highest attack ally, which is most of the time the one you want to heal the most. For 12% of their max HP, so times 4, that is a proper heal out there of like, what, 48%, while increasing their turn meter by 20%. That is definitely a fair bit. That's like straight up. If she moves right after your damage dealer, you give like an 80 boost on your damage dealer. That's really nice. Only issue I could see is that she moves very far ahead of your damage dealer, or like a little bit ahead of your damage dealer, and with like a 30 boost, the damage dealer would have already taken a turn. So I'm not too sure what's the best rotation of like turn on there, because she will start off with a skill 3, and skill 3 is a gentle sun blinding flames thing. And wait, here it's called Nell, and here it's called Nilu. Yeah, that's okay. I guess they had like a last moment change of heart of like what the name should be. So here it's still Nell, here it's still Nell, and there they made it Nilu. Okay. I guess either one works for me. But we have an 80% to land vulnerability. You can definitely max that out in PvE for 2 turns, and apply speed up for 3 turns. That is definitely really strong. It is a 3-turn cooldown, so that does mean that your speed buff is permanently up. If we're looking at a Lily, for example, Lily S2 is on a 3 turns, but the speed up is just a 2-turn. Sure, she has the crit damage up and that kind of stuff, and more like cooldown resets and this kind of thing. But I would say, sure, Lily is better. Like, don't get me wrong, Lily is better. But getting in the vulnerability adds more damage for the whole team rather than just damage on that one unit, which is really nice. You get turn meter in this one over here, and you get a permanent speed up effect. Because this is 3 turns, it's full overlapping, so that's really strong over there. I'm just not really sure of what turn order to do on her, because you kind of want her to make her fastest and therefore move first, and therefore she will be actually having this rotation all the time. But therefore she also might, well, if she moves super fast, then this turn meter will just give like a full turn to your DPS, and I think that's kind of fine. Like, probably this is overstacking your turn meter a bit at that point, but I think that's totally fine, just fastest unit out there. Let's look at the paralysis for like how much skill ups do you need. I would definitely skill up the skill 1 to get that extra speed in, and then 2-turn vulnerability on that one. I would probably say full skilled up. We have the skill 3 with accuracy, and then the cooldown in here, which is really much of a must, I would say. And we also have like the turn meter up effect and that kind of stuff on this skill 2. I think she just should be full skilled. Turn or like the skill up order that I would recommend, I would say skill 3 first, then probably skill 2, and then skill 1 in that order. But yeah, I would say full skilled on her. So let's also look at what kind of shells do fit with each. So first of all, with Nilu, I would say that something along the lines of a Jackal Guard doesn't make that much sense. I would say that you're more leaning towards like a Gigabyte / Halloween. So let's look at the shells which fit with both of them. So let's first go for Nilu or Nell, whatever the name is. Jackal Guard doesn't make that much sense because it already has like a 3-turn speed buff, so that doesn't help at all. You could go for Dark Moon to increase the duration of the vulnerability, which is definitely not that bad. I could also see you go for a Kodak. Nah, Kodak I would not really go for. I think you have enough skills on that. I would say Artisan is, of course, it works on the support with those kind of things. Gigabyte is definitely an option. I would say it's pretty much along those lines. Halloween could see that as an option as well. Most of the time, you're probably going to go for some kind of Swift Rush, Swift Smite, something along those lines. This one does actually have Swift Rush, Swift Smite. Strife would be very good on the Dark Moon over there. Halloween doesn't have that, so you probably go Swift Rush, either Plague, and then Time Weave. Time Weave would not be too bad on her as well. You could even just go for Swift Rush, Time Weave altogether, and then ignore the Ether Plague. I think that is definitely a recommendation out there as well. And then for these, it's also just Swift Rush, either Plague or Strife, and this one, Swift Rush, Time Weave, is also an option over there. So I definitely do think that she has a bunch of options, but it would, in my opinion, if I had to choose just one, if I had everything on like a perfect set, I would probably go for Halloween, because I think that adds most for me in PvE to get her skill 3 and skill 2 off the most amount of times. And then just use a Swift Rush, Time Weave 12-12 kind of setup. And then just make your way work from there. That's what I would recommend. Second best, I think I would go for Dark Moon, but not 100% sure about that. For Lilium, for the shells, I would say that we're probably looking at... Ooh, it's kind of hard to say. She does already have speed buff herself, so Jackal Guard becomes not as interesting. I could see her work just simply on a Lighthouse to also counter like the Cleave kind of style. That is definitely an option for a Bruiser setup Lighthouse. Amber, maybe. I could say Gigabyte, maybe. There's a few of them that I would say like maybe. So I'm not too sure about that. If you're expecting on a very long Bruiser fight, we did get the buff on the Golden Lion right now with the skill 1. So that's is some potential out there, but it will take you a long time to actually stack this. So yeah, there's a bunch of options out there, but I'm not 100% sure what I would really go for. I think for the safe bet would probably be like a Swift Rush Bloodbath kind of style. So you go like 12 Bloodbath, 9 on the Swift Rush, and then like a Swift Smite or something like that to add in a bit of damage on Lighthouse. I think that's the safest bet. Alicorn is one of those that's absolutely not needed. And yeah, I think that's the main one that I would go for. I wouldn't really go for like a full-on damage one. Like you could go White Fang, Swift Rush, Swift Raid. That is definitely an option, but I'm not sure about that. Then we can talk about the modules itself, like what kind of sets on the right side for the course. I would say on the side of Nell or Nilu or whatever her name is, it's pretty simple. You probably just want to go for the typical triple accuracy because the accuracy just adds in more chance for landing these debuffs, or like double accuracy plus 1 HP or something like that. On the side of Lilium, I would say probably you want to go for, I would say 1 crit rate, maybe 1 HP and 1 attack or something like that, or like a crit rate, crit damage, HP. I think she is good to have some HP in there to still be like more of a Bruiser setup, though she doesn't just instantly die, because in the end, sure, she does counter CC, but she can also just simply die herself, right? So that's one of those things you have to keep in mind. She does have some recovery in here, so I'm not sure if you go with Bloodbath, then you could maybe get away with going more damage heavy. If you're not going for Bloodbath, then you probably have to be looking at least an HP on the one of the right sides of the course. So that is my recommendation for these units. I could be wrong. I didn't fully test them. It's just from whatever I see on the first look of them so far. I definitely do think they look pretty strong. I will be pulling for her. I have about like 26-ish pulls. I think that she will be really nice. Is she going to get my lattices right away? Well, for me, it's either Holden or her. I think she's very much just PvP. I don't think she's any good for PvE at all, or barely. Sure, you can use her, but it's definitely other bruisers are better for PvE, so it's 100% a PvP unit. So for me, it's kind of in the midst of what I want to go for, what I want to do. But I think in the right position, like if you put her in the band protection and the enemy already has like 3 stunners or 2 stunners and a pushbacker kind of unit, she will do a lot of work. So that's definitely a really strong unit right there. So, but yeah, then again, does she do that much as in damage? Does she do that much as in CC herself? She does have that 1 stun. She does have the damage over here. But is it going to be enough damage? It's kind of hard for me to say just yet. I think she definitely has potential for a fair bit of damage. But I'm not 100% sure if it will be like the most OP thing ever yet until I see a bunch of matches in here, because she's not pullable yet, so I haven't actually been properly testing her yet. But yeah, that is my recommendation, guys. Thanks a lot for watching for this one. See you as always in the next one. If you want to see more content like this, you know where to follow the channel, and see you later. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.